Welcome back to PlayStation Nation. This is Pins Insight. This video we're talking about the studios acquired by PlayStation and their purpose going forward. Let's get into it.
Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.
So, if you haven't noticed, both PlayStation and Xbox have been going to acquisition frenzy since the beginning of the next generation. While yes, the Xbox acquisition seems to be more grand, PlayStation's approach seems to be more smaller and clever. So throughout this video, I'm going to go to run down Sony's newest studios and explain their purpose. Before I go any further with the video, I want to make it clear that PlayStation's IPs are growing exponentially. From Spider-Man, Horizon, God of War, it seems Sony wants to expand those with different studios. While these are games we know all and love, there's also new IPs coming in the future. Let's start with Team Asobi. If you didn't know, Team Asobi was born after Japan Studios' closure. They are known for The Playroom, Astro Bot Rescue Mission, and my favorite PS5 game, Astro Playroom. If you're a fan of PSVR, well, you'll know that Astro Bot Rescue Mission in the Room was probably one of the best games on PSVR. Now that PSVR 2 is finally revealed to the world, it seems to me that Team Asobi is creating a new IP or Astro's Playroom sequel for PSVR 2, which honestly I cannot wait. Next is Fire Sprite. As I said earlier in the video, Sony seems to be expanding their current IPs, such as Horizon, and well, Fireworks is working on a Horizon IP. Horizon Call of the Mountain is a new PSVR 2 game, and unlike most VR games which seems to be like glorified tech demos, this one seems to be different. It seems to be like a AAA quality game, something we really don't get with PSVR games, or VR in general. Next is Nixxes Software. As of late, PlayStation has been porting games to PC such as God of War, Horizon, Days Gone. Nixxes seems to be the studio dedicated to that, so it seems Sony acquired Nixxes just for PC porting, which kind of was been hinted after this leaks or prior to this acquisition happening. People was looking into the info and noticed they do PC porting, and Sony is starting to utilize that. Since this announcement, PlayStation has clarified that you are still important to this ecosystem. PC is second tier and also for more sales, obviously, but they clarified that PlayStation would be the best way to play these games going forward. I've also noticed these PlayStation games, their PC ports released like 3-4 years after the initial release. So it seems to be the case that PC games are getting these games way later, and when a newer version comes out, it comes on the PlayStation console first, and the pattern continues. That may change as games becoming more faster and easier for them to be ported to PC, so who knows, it could change any moment. Savage Game Studios, this happened a few days ago actually. So this game is known for mobile games. I don't know their past projects, but obviously specialize in mobile games. It seems to be that Sony is finally kind of get back into the mobile space. They did Sackboy Run years ago. I don't know how well that went. I don't know who played it, but there's a mobile audience and PlayStation wants to capture it again. In my last PS Insight video, I was clarified this may be dedicated to Japanese players because they're living a handheld mobile market, so it could be for them. Honestly, I don't have an opinion on the mobile part. I don't play mobile games, but it seems to be the case when they release this blog post that Sony is going to expand their current IPs or new IPs onto the mobile space. Next is Bluepoint. Bluepoint Games is known for remastering the Uncharted collection or Demon's Souls. I consider this the remaster studio. What I envision is PlayStation probably get some old IPs and remaster them under this studio, or they can create their own new IP under this studio. They're a really talented studio and really good at porting games themselves. They'll change that. I think they're actually making a new original IP for PlayStation going forward. I don't know. I know they're really talented with making games, so I'm curious what they're going to see. Surprisingly, as I said earlier, it could be like I consider this the remaster studio. PlayStation has a huge library of games they can remaster. I think these guys are perfect for remaster. Like, people want Jack and Daxter back or Sly Cooper. These guys can remaster those games and put them on PS5. Next is Bungie and Haven Studios. While yes, Bungie is owned by PlayStation, it's not a PlayStation first-party studio. Bungie is still doing their own thing, but PlayStation just owns them. And well, after the recent news of Bungie being acquired, PlayStation has stated that they will still make Destiny and support Destiny going forward. Seems to be that Sony is going to use these guys for multiplayer games going forward. If you didn't know, PlayStation announced 10 unannounced games and service games in the future, and we don't know any of them yet, other than I think Last of Us Faction is going to be one of those games. But they're all multiplayer games, and Bungie has a very experience with these games from Halo and obviously Destiny. It also seems the case that Haven Studios is going to be working on a live service game as well. I don't know Haven's history. It says here they do Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs series. I think those series have some online implements in later installments. Can't remember. I think Watch Dogs did though. But they're going to be focused on a multiplayer game going forward, so we're going to see so much of that. But for this conversation, it seems to be more with Bungie here I'm looking forward to the most, because Bungie, as I said before, are known for multiplayer games. They have experience with that. So Sony seems to be taking advantage of that studio. And last but not least, Valkyrie Entertainment. Unlike the other studios listed, Valkyrie Entertainment seems to be a support studio. They're actually currently working on God of War Ragnarok, helping Santa Monica Studios. And that kind of goes into the point I'm making in this video. Well, Sony is kind of different between Xbox acquisition. You know, Xbox has acquired Bethesda and Activision. And you know, those are grand acquisitions, and it seems to be the case. And here's my opinion, here's the difference. When you look at Xbox's acquisitions, they seem to just be gobbling up well-known IPs or well-known studios and have those games for themselves and for Game Pass. PlayStation is different. They're acquiring studios we don't really know, but these studios seems to be more supportive than anything else. So as I said before, Sony seems to be utilizing studios that will specialize in things they're known for. Valkyrie Entertainment is fantastic for PlayStation. When PlayStation games are getting more ambitious than ever, this studio can help with other studios release this game faster. For PC porting, they got Nexus Software that's known for great PC ports. And the PC ports has been really great, other than what Days Gone, I think. But so far they have been decent and have been selling well. Bluepoint is known for good remasters, and hopefully they make remasters in the future, but they're talented at making remastered, respectable games. And now Sony wants to go into the mobile space. They have Savage Game Studios. Well, Savage Game Studios is known for mobile games. Who's going to port the mobile games? Savage Game Studios. So moral story, Sony is acquiring these studios that specialize in things they're unique in. And Sony's taking advantage of that. To me, that's completely different and more, I guess you can say, more valid compared to Xbox's case. We're just gobbling up IPs left and right. PlayStation seems to be working on their own IP, and also new IP as well. But they seem to be branching the IP and porting the IPs to different platforms easier and more fluid, and also expanding them as well. It's interesting. You know, people want PlayStation to acquire like big publishers like Ubisoft or EA, but PlayStation's like, you know what, we got our own IPs, big IPs, let's branch them out. But yeah, I know this conversation with acquisitions has been very obnoxious and annoying. I'm actually sick of talking about these acquisition things, but I thought about this idea because, you know, people have this weird narratives going on with these acquisitions, but it seems like, you know, you look at PlayStation, Xbox, it's night and day how different they are in terms of what they're doing with the acquisitions. I think PlayStation, it's not me being biased as a PlayStation or anything by any means. It just seems that PlayStation case, they have a clear path of what they're doing. It seems Sony's more confident with their properties. Xbox doesn't seem confident. The only thing they care about is Game Pass, obviously. They want people to go to Game Pass. That's their strategy. And that's it, basically. To me, that doesn't seem, I guess, more ambitious, I'm looking for. I don't know. It just seems like they're just taking things and just put it on the servers, while PlayStation is like working their asses off to make their IPs expand on PC and mobile spaces, and also multiplayer. I didn't go that deep more into multiplayer, but like take their current games and make multiplayer versions of those games, or those worlds, at least multiplayer versions of those worlds. I want people to look at these studio acquisitions differently, not how big they are, but how smart these acquisitions are. Sure, Call of Duty is huge. Everyone makes money from Call of Duty, PlayStation, Xbox. But you know, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to figure out like what happens down the road, like how these acquisitions are gonna benefit these consoles, these ecosystems going forward. We'll never know until everything is kind of like finalized, probably like 5-6 years into the generation. What do you guys think? What do you think about Sony's acquisition? Do you want them to acquire EA, Ubisoft, or Konami? I don't. I'm sick of the acquisition. The conversation is very tiring. I kind of hate it. I understand that's a thing in the business, but I hate it. Everyone cares about acquisition talk, and I'm like, and I know I'm a hypocrite for making a video about it, but it's like, that's what people care about, who's acquiring a big thing. And that's Microsoft's fault. Microsoft got people paranoid, reasonably so, and they got people talking about who can buy who and that. It's a tiring conversation, but today we're talking about it. But I don't want to talk about it in a pop way, but I want to talk about it more in like the difference between Xbox and Sony's purchases of these studios and how they're utilizing them. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. Take care.